Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned. Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the Learn Live channel. Today is the start of our 3-day-long Leavers Week, partnered with Higher Horizons. Leavers Week is all about you taking the next steps in your life, whether that be looking at how to apply for universities, taking a gap year, or stepping into the world of work. We will also be looking into helping you deal with whatever changes you will be facing and how to prepare. Today we'll be focusing on your options, what's next, and information for the undecided. If you have any questions regarding any of the talks you will see today, please remember that you can use the live chat facility next to the video player, where a member of the Higher Horizons team will get back to you as soon as possible. Remember, you're not alone in this, and the support is here for you. I'm now going to hand over to Jess Newton, Higher Horizons Uni Connect Programme Officer, as she gives us an insight in what you can expect from today. Over to you, Jess.
Hi guys, my name is Jess and I work for Higher Horizons Plus. Welcome to day one of our Learn Live Leavers event. So today we're going to be looking at clearing and clearing plus, options for those who are undecided, gap years and why people take them, higher degree apprenticeships, building your own business whilst learning, and also we're going to hear from someone who's recently graduated from doing their master's degree, so their student experience. I really hope you get lots out of today, and please do use the chat option to ask any questions. You've got me and a team of people ready to answer them for you.
Hi, my name's Lewis. I'm a Uni Connect Project Officer with Higher Horizons, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about clearing and what it is. So firstly, I'm going to start off talking about applying to university. I appreciate a lot of you Year 13s listening have already done this and you know all about it, but I'm only going to be brief. But equally, if you're Year 12 and you or younger and you don't know how to apply to university at all, lots of resources online. So even though I'm going to talk about it briefly, it should give you a good, quick understanding. And there's loads of different resources you can look online, such as UCAS, to have a look at this more in depth. So to apply to university, you must use UCAS, which is the University and Colleges Admission Services. There's no other way to apply. You don't apply directly to universities. It's all done through UCAS. So applying through UCAS involves filling out personal information, writing a personal statement, and getting an academic reference. So your personal information, stuff like where you're from, how you've done in your previous GCSEs or other qualifications, what jobs you might have had, and also your personal statement is something that's quite important, and it's just a statement about you, really, about you, why you want to go to university, what you like, what you don't like, lots of different things to do with that. So that's a really important thing, which you can get a great deal of information for online. And so the last thing is getting an academic reference. So that is just a reference from a teacher, maybe. You might have a tutor at college or sixth form. Just ask for them. It's very common. They do it every year for lots of students, just to write a little bit about you. You probably won't see the reference, but you just go to them to show what sort of character of person you are. So the process does sound a bit complicated, but it's not as complicated as it does sound. So you can get lots of help from your school or college. If you're stuck with anything, they'll be happy to help. They do it every year for a year of students, a whole year group every year. So, but I would say, as a tip, do start early. Before your work piles up towards the end of the year. You're going to be glad if you started early, when you're not working so much and you're not worrying about exams yet. So do start early if you can. So clearing. So what you can use clearing if you fall into one of the 4 categories. So if you're applying for university after the 30th of June, so possibly if you've left it a bit late, forgotten about it, or you're undecided and thought, yeah, I will apply, but it's after the 30th of June, that's not a problem. You can go into clearing. So you can always use clearing if you didn't receive any offers at all, or you have no offers you wanted to accept. So, for example, you applied to universities, you applied to Oxford and Cambridge, but you only predicted C's, possibly, for an example. They didn't give you an offer. You can go through clearing to find a different university that would take you with your grades. Or equally, if you applied to another university because you thought you were getting C's and you got A stars and you wanted to apply for Durham, somewhere like that, you can also go, I'm going to go through clearing and trade up, in a sense. That's what people call it. So if you didn't meet the conditions of your offers, so if you got an offer to say, yep, you can study with us at Bath if you get 2 A's and a B, and you get 3 B's possibly, you can go through clearing to find a place. Or you can use clearing if you've declined your firm place. So if you've had a change of heart for whatever reason, you can decline your firm place and go through clearing to find another course. So how does clearing work then? So you fall into one of the 4 categories and you're applying through clearing. The first thing you need to do is talk to an advisor at your college or sixth form, so a teacher, someone in careers possibly. Just ask them for advice. Say, for example, I've not got the grades I wanted to get, or I've got better grades than I thought, what shall I do? They'll be happy to advise you. Like I say, they do it every year. They know all about it. Probably they know more than me anyway. So definitely talk to any advisors you can speak to. Older brothers or sisters, possibly, if they've gone to university, see what they think about things. So do your research as well. Make sure you research a lot. So have a look on which courses are available at which university. And when you're ready to proceed, add your choice to track. So doing the research is really important. You can't just fire into it really quickly. If you're ready to move, the system moves really quickly. But make sure you do your research of what you're applying to, which university, how you normally do your research. Don't think you've got to rush it, make a quick decision. You absolutely haven't. Just make sure you do research and do it thoroughly before you make any decisions, and then you add your choice to track, just like you did when you were applying before clearing. And just do remember that clearing is not a negative thing at all. There's a lot of stigma out of clearing, like, oh no, he didn't get as good grades as he wanted to do, he's got to go into clearing and go to a not so good uni. That's absolutely not the case whatsoever. So essentially, you've got to think of clearing as you're finding a space at university that you didn't already have. That's the crux of it, really. So if you just find clearing, if you just Google clearing success stories, there's loads of articles and videos about students saying about how clearing was a positive thing for them. A lot of them will say, no, I thought it was a negative. I thought, I was a bit embarrassed or whatever. And loads of them say, oh, that was daft of me to think, I got this place on this course and I'm loving this university. I probably would have liked it more than my old university or the course, I applied for my first choice. So it's not a negative thing. Keep thinking positively and you'll get a space, probably. So it's just a great thing. Don't think as a negative. And on the right there, if you can see, it might be a little bit small, but the university clearing process explained. So if you're going through clearing as you didn't meet the requirements for your first choice, you can do a foundation degree. That might be an option. So some universities may accept you if you attend 1 year of a foundation degree and then top it up to a full degree after a year. So a foundation degree is a little bit like, you might do it in something slightly unrelated. So say if you want to do business at Liverpool, you could do something different at Liverpool, slightly different, and just gain, the foundation skills that you need. If you didn't get the good enough grades, they might offer you that. So the fees are reduced, and it's just like a first year of university. It's a really good option if you don't want to retake your A-levels or go to a different university. If you've really got your heart set on one and they offer you a foundation degree, this is a great thing to do. So typically you just do the first year and then you top it up to a full degree after that if you pass. And this is a really good thing. It gives you an insight into university life. And it's also a great option for you if you're unsure whether you want to go to uni or not. You can do a foundation year and you think, no, this isn't for me. That's fine. You can leave. And it's a bit different to have doing the first full year of university. And it just gives you an insight into what life's like. And if you really enjoy it, you pass and you can get to the first choice that you wanted to do. So that's a really good option. So yeah, just how clearing works, just going back a couple of slides. So you have to speak after you've spoken to an advisor and done your research. You have to speak to the university, see if they'll have you, essentially. So you just call them up, email them, have a conversation about stuff, just another chat. You don't have to go through anything, and they will send you sort of an invite on UCAS to accept add them as a choice. So that is a thing you need to be aware of as well. So what's Clearing Plus then? So Clearing Plus is a new thing for this year, 2020. So it works similarly to Clearing, but UCAS will match unplaced undergraduate applicants with vacancies relevant to them. So the service will launch in early July, and if you have a place, you can use a Clearing Plus to find another if you'd like, and it's not intended to replace traditional clearing. So how does it work then? So I rushed through that slide a little bit. So if you choose to enter Clearing Plus, UCAS will offer you an individual list of matched courses. So say if you wanted to do zoology at LSE, I don't think they do it, Edinburgh, say, but you didn't get the grades, UCAS will offer you automatically, they use sort of algorithm to match you with similar courses. Maybe you're looking at Scottish unis, they'll offer you some Scottish ones, similar courses or the same course in other universities. So what it does, it saves you a lot of time of researching, but the option is still there to do the research, like I said earlier. But UCAS will go sort of like when you buy something on Amazon and they say, you bought this, here's something similar. It's the same thing. This is your first choice, here are similar courses or the same course in different unis. So it just saves you a bit of time researching, but the option's still there. So if you're interested in any, you can send what's called an expression of interest to university through Track. So the university you've expressed an interest in will then contact you through UCAS, have a little chat about you, say, why do you want to come here? It's an informal little chat, really. Because you've got to think as well, these universities have got spaces and they want to fill. Because for each space they don't get filled is $9,000 that they're not going to get for the year. So they do want to fill the spaces. So they just have a little informal chat with you about it, and then then they'll allow you to add the course to your UCAS application. So this is a little infographic of how Clearing Plus works. Anyway, slightly different to clearing, just more or less the same thing, but does offer you the matches that they go for. But equally, if you don't like any of the matches that they offer, not a problem, you don't have to take them. You can just do your traditional research, have a look, and apply that way. So thank you for listening to that. Hopefully that's cleared up any questions you had about clearing. So if you do have any questions still, please go to higherhorizons.co.uk/ask, and you can send a message to anyone on the platform, or me, I'm on there as well. So yeah, I hope that answered everything for you, and thanks for listening. Cheers.
Hello, good morning everybody. My name is Lindsay Smith. I'm talking to you today from Australia, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the alternatives to university for those of you who might not be certain that that's the route for you. For some people, it simply isn't right. It's not going to be the right fit. And in that instance, you're absolutely right to look at other options. Other people watching this presentation, you may be pretty certain that you want to go to university, but you just want to have a look at what else is out there to make sure that you're making an informed decision, which is also amazing, exactly what you should be doing. So in terms of the options that you can weigh up, there's a few really obvious ones that I'm going to talk about today. And we're going to have a think about the positive and negative sides to those options. Now, within any of these options, there's all kinds of things that you can do. So there are thousands and thousands of jobs that you can go into, even just with GCSEs or level 3 qualifications. Likewise with apprenticeships, so many different routes, subjects, careers that you can go into. So we are talking about quite general topics today, but hopefully it will give you an idea of some of the general principles, general positives, general negatives that you need to weigh up and think about when you're looking at your options, really. So I've listed a few of the options here, the most obvious one being going straight into the world of work. So let's have a look at that straight away. So in terms of getting a job straight out of either school or straight after you've done your level 3s in college or sixth form, there are a few really immediate advantages that you're going to get right from the outset, really, in terms of your lifestyle, what you can afford, the way that you can afford to live. And if you've got money pretty immediately, and it might be more than you're used to having, that can be a really positive impact on your life. It means that you do have that little bit more freedom. And a lot of the time, if you get a job straight away with GCSEs or level 3s, it's going to be fairly local to where you live. So you aren't going to have to move away the way somebody might have to if they were moving to university, or even to travel for, a decent amount of time each day. Hopefully it's going to be something that's pretty close to your house, so you're not going to have that kind of lifestyle shift of having to move away or commute a lot each day. It also means that you get to feel useful pretty much straight away. You're not just learning about a subject without applying it. You're getting involved in whatever it is you're doing, right from the outset, really. And I think that can be seen as quite a useful and positive thing, particularly by, older generation and whatnot. You're never going to have to explain, like I did for many years, what you're doing studying when you should be working, to grandparents, because that's who I always used to get questioned by. What are you doing reading all those books? You don't sort of get that level of questioning. Everyone understands what your job's for, what you're getting from it, and why you'd have made that decision. Also, it means that you are in the workplace from an early age. So if you need to work your way up to build up those skills within your job, you can do that right from an early age. And you've got plenty of scope then to gain that experience over the years to come. to be really specialised in whatever it is that you choose to do. And that can be a really positive thing. However, it's also important to consider the negatives of going straight into a job. First of all, and most obviously, I think, in terms of downside of going straight into work, is that you don't always have that progression route. You may be able to work your way up in certain areas, but you're not going to have that set idea of which role comes next in the way that you would with perhaps some graduate roles or some apprenticeships. It can also be a little bit annoying as well if you find yourself in a position where you go for a promotion with years of experience and you get overtaken for that role by somebody who's come in who's perhaps a lot less experienced but has a qualification. So it can be frustrating if you get to that point in your career when you have all that experience but other people are getting those promotions over you. So it's worth bearing that in mind. And then also, we are in an uncertain economy at the moment. It's likely to get perhaps even more uncertain. And that means that it can be competitive when you go for jobs. There might not be the opportunities that you'd want in an ideal world. It can be a real challenge. So it's worth weighing that up as well and thinking about what options are out there in terms of jobs that you could take up now and how they do compare to the kind of jobs that you could get perhaps with a little bit of training. It's also worth bearing in mind that on average, people who've been to university and got degrees will earn £10,000 a year more than people who haven't been to university. That is a figure that has stayed pretty consistent for the past 10 years. So even though more people are going to university, there's still a 10 grand difference on average of earnings per year. That amount can be quite significant in terms of your lifestyle. That is going to have an impact on the way that you live because it is quite a lot of money. So that doesn't mean to say that everybody should go to university, because that's absolutely not what I'm saying in this talk. It's more to make you think about, well, what job are you going to go into? What progression is going to be there? And what kind of lifestyle is it going to give you? And whether there's anything you can do to add to the experience that you're gaining through work to help you to get to those higher salary levels and also to get those promotions as well, because it really can make a difference to your lifestyle. So I think the next obvious alternative to university really is apprenticeships. Spoken about an awful lot, and I think there's also quite a few misconceptions about apprenticeships and how they work, what kind of levels you should be going for. So let's have a think about them for the next few minutes. So the main positive of apprenticeships is that you get to earn a wage and work and be out in the world of work at the same time as your training. And you're going to gain qualifications and experience, which is just amazing. That's perfect. You're living the dream of what you want to be employable in the future, really. So absolutely ideal situation in that way. Study is funded by employers as well, which is also really positive, because that means that you aren't going to have those tuition fees in the same way that people who've been to university would. Also, apprenticeships are designed by employers to meet a need. So for as long as that sector is there and that need is there, you should always be employable, which is obviously a really positive thing. There's a definite application to what you've learned. You know it's going to be useful to somebody because it's been designed by the people it's meant to be useful for. And you can also progress the whole way through all the levels of apprenticeship to get the equivalent of a degree or a degree in some cases. So it is a really useful way to get to that same end goal, but at the same time you're earning money, you're gaining that experience, and getting to have, you know, all those experiences that go with being in the world of work as well. So yeah, really, really useful, fabulous route for some people. Definitely worth considering, I would say. In terms of the negatives, there are a few, however, which is that salaries can be low, particularly while you're training. And that can be quite a difficult thing to swallow, because you can be working really quite hard, studying at the same time, and still not earning those particularly high salaries. Salaries can even be low when you're looking towards degree or higher apprenticeships as well. So it can be a little bit frustrating waiting to get to that point where you're earning those higher wages. But on the upside, you're not going to have those tuition fees. So yeah, there are definite positives and negatives to all of this. Also, it can be really difficult to juggle work and study at the same time. You're going to have different and at times conflicting demands on your time and attention, and that can be challenging. Yeah, you're having to sort of keep all those plates spinning, if you like. And yeah, it takes a lot of attention, a lot of focus, and means that you have to be really organised in terms of planning out your time and how you do things. It can also be a little bit difficult to understand the levels of apprenticeship. One of the big challenges that I face every year is talking to students who are about to complete college, whether they've either been doing A-levels or BTEC, and they've been working at level 3 and they want to go out and get an apprenticeship. Now, for lower levels, level 2, level 3 apprenticeships, there are quite a lot of them, and they tend to be pretty local. By the time you get above level 3, so levels 4 to 6, 7, they are a lot more competitive. They can involve a lot more travel. There are far fewer of them out there, and so that can be a real challenge. And I think that's something that gets lost a little bit. People think that you do a level 3 and then you go into an apprenticeship, and that's actually quite a challenging step to take. It's not impossible, but it is more competitive, I think, than people realise, so it's worth bearing that in mind as well. I'll explain the levels in just a moment. I've got a graphic to show you that should make that a little bit easier to understand. But finally, let's just have a think about the experience being on an apprenticeship as well. I've already mentioned that you have to juggle work with study, and that can be somewhat challenging. But it's also really important to bear in mind that you aren't going to get that full student experience. At the moment, a lot of people are talking about the fact that Freshers' Week isn't going to happen this year, and they're mourning the fact that they're not going to have that kind of student experience. That is absolutely, of course, the case for the apprenticeships. You aren't going to get that experience of moving away, living in a halls of residence, being with other students, having those kind of social experiences. You don't get those opportunities. Obviously, there are positives that can outweigh those, but if that is important to you, it's really important to question how that weighs up within an apprenticeship as well. So I mentioned about this chart to you. This is the National Qualification Framework chart of levels. So you can see here, most of you watching this presentation are going to be in college doing A-levels and BTEC, so you will be around level 3. So at the top of those blue levels in this graphic. Then you start to move on to either university or into apprenticeships. Now, as I mentioned to you before, a lot of people expect to move from college into perhaps advanced apprenticeships. You can see in this graphic that they're actually on the same level. So it's not really moving you on, if you like. And a lot of those advanced apprenticeships will offer level 3s, which you would already have. So really, if you're looking for an apprenticeship after completing BTEC or A-levels, then you would be looking at higher apprenticeships or degree apprenticeships, and you can see the difference in levels between those. So higher apprenticeships start off at the same level as a foundation degree, and they go the full way up to degree level. Degree apprenticeships start, as you might imagine, at degree level, and they work their way up towards the kind of master's level of qualification. So hopefully this graphic gives you some idea of how it all compares and where you would hope to progress to in years to come. So yeah, I think it can be quite useful just to understand those kinds of levels of progression, really. So, to try and demonstrate exactly what apprenticeships are likely to look like, I have had a look just at notgoingtouni.com at some of the apprenticeships that are out there at the moment within the Warrington area. Now you may be thinking these first ones say Manchester and that's definitely not Warrington. You would be right. I put in a 25-mile search and these were some of the things that came up. As you can see, a lot of them involve a bit of travel. So they are within the same area just, but it could be quite a significant amount of travel that you'd be doing. These are all at least level 4. Some of them, as you can see, are degree apprenticeships as well. And I've tried to show you quite a diverse range of subjects, really, in terms of what you could go for. Some are more admin, some are more technical, but you can really start to see the kinds of opportunities that are out there. Now, I did mention that these can be pretty competitive, pretty hard to find, and you may have to travel. Please don't let that just make you write this idea off. Degree apprenticeships, higher apprenticeships can be such valuable things, and they are competitive, but sometimes the things that are hardest to get are the things that are most worth having. So it is absolutely worth having a look at some opportunities that are like this and weighing them up. Obviously, these opportunities that I've listed here are live at the moment. If you are in year 13 or year 2, these may be the kind of things that you want to look at this stage. If you are in year 12 or year 1, obviously it's a bit difficult because you don't know what's going to be out there in a year's time. I think it is worth having a look to see what's there at the moment, just to give you some ideas really of what can be out there and how they compare to uni. But obviously bear in mind it could be a different picture in a year's time. And some people choose to apply to university as a backup and at the same time start to look for things like higher apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships so that you have all of those options on the table as well. Okay, thinking about gap years. It's a really tricky one at the moment because so many people choose to go on a gap year so that they get to travel and to see the world and perhaps have experience either working in another country or volunteering in another country. Obviously, at the moment, we just don't know what that's going to look like and whether it's going to be possible anytime soon. And so it is worth bearing in mind that level of uncertainty at the minute. With gap years, obviously it can look like pretty much anything you want it to. There are so many different opportunities and experiences, from travelling abroad, volunteering, perhaps getting really intense work experience for that time. It can be anything you want it to be. And it can be a real opportunity to get to know yourself better, to develop new skills, to have a bit of time out to think and plan and a bit of space, really. And potentially you could find memories to last a lifetime. Negatives are, if you don't have a purpose, it can look bad on a CV or in a personal statement because it sounds like you've just had a year of not really knowing. Whereas a lot of the time employers like to see a bit of focus and, a definite plan in terms of what you're working towards. Gap years can be expensive, obviously massively depending on what you choose to do, but a lot of people like to have money behind them to be able to do it, and it can sometimes not be possible to build up funds for that kind of thing. There's also a temptation to never actually go back to your original plan. So if you think, yeah, I'll go to uni further down the line, I'll just have a gap year first. Yeah, some people just don't go back and may regret that in years to come. It's hard to say. It depends what you do and what your inclinations are, really. Some people choose to have a year out purely to work, to build up money behind them and to get ready for uni. And again, that can be a really good chance just to think, reflect, build a plan, perhaps to see how the world pans out at the minute. Things are changing so quickly, it could actually be a good option. Again though, negatives, people get used to it. And find it difficult to go back in to their original plan, which can be, a definite challenge. Other options are a topic that's quite close to my heart because I did a lot of distance part-time learning as well. But you can also get tuition fee loans for part-time study if you choose to go up to degree level. There are also loads of vocational courses that you can pursue if you choose to do that, that fit nicely alongside work. So there are things like the Open University, all manner of vocational qualifications that you can go study, fit alongside work, and you can even pick up and return 2 years down the line. Obviously, that means managing your time. And for certain qualifications, you may have to fund it yourself. If it's degree level, you can still get tuition fee for part-time learning. You don't, however, get maintenance loans to help you with your living costs while you're doing that. And it can be challenging, and sometimes life does get in the way, and it can be quite hard work. But if you want to work and you want to study at the same time but can't find an apprenticeship, it can be a brilliant option for you. So, thank you very much for watching today. Hopefully it's been useful, and no matter what option you choose to pursue in the future, may you have the very best of luck and may it be the right option for you. Thanks very much.
Hello guys, and welcome to this session. My name's Jess and I work for Higher Horizons Plus, and this session is just going to be giving you a little bit of a brief overview about gap years. So what a gap year is, why people take them, and sort of the benefits of a gap year and what you can gain from it. So first of all, what is a gap year? So some of you may have come across this term before, and it might even be something that you know you're already going to take. But a gap year is a year out of education. So you might take this after college or sixth form, and it will be taken before going on to your next steps in education. So it might be university or any other higher education courses. Some people actually even take a sort of gap year after their degree as well. So a lot of people are really keen to get into the world of work with their qualification and their education. And that is, well, that's what university is for. However, some people also might take a year afterwards just to sort of reset themselves and maybe visit countries that they've always wanted to see. So traditionally, it is taken after sixth form and before university or your next step. So why take a gap year? Why do people do this? So you may have plans to work or volunteer or travel and gain a little bit more life experience. So you might need to take a break from studying. So I personally had a break from studying. You'll see a little video from myself further down this presentation. And I mentioned about how I'd done my A-levels and I knew I wanted to go to university, but I just needed a bit of a break. And equally on the same level of that, you might want to do it for your mental well-being. And as well, you might be a little bit undecided about the future. If you are considering university, but you're not really too sure, a gap year is a really good opportunity to just take a step back, think about what it is that you need to do in your life, because it's your life, no one else's, and work out what's best for you. And a lot of people do that whilst travelling as well. So what can you do on a gap year? So you can volunteer. So that might be in your local town or village or city. It might be in a completely different country. So I volunteered for different youth groups during my gap year. and I know people that actually volunteered in different countries as well. So you can use your time to build your CV or your personal statement. So all the time you've got away from education or away from a career, you might still want to be thinking about how it can benefit you in the future. So if you've got a personal statement you need to write for a UCAS application, for example, think about how you can gain more experience for this. We've mentioned volunteering and travelling, and you can put those two together. There's a term called voluntourism. So you are a tourist, but at the same time you're volunteering maybe in a local village or for a different community. You might literally just work. So in my gap year as well, I did work and I gained loads of skills from that, which I talk about further into this presentation. You might even do some more studying. So I've mentioned having a break from studying, but you might also want to study something else completely different. So learn a new language, maybe start learning an instrument, for example, all those sorts of things. Some people might have used it to learn sign language as well, which is an amazing thing to have on a personal statement or CV. And all of these come under life skills as well. What I would say importantly is have a plan for the year. So it's okay with some things to just wing it. And the idea of having a year out is actually maybe because you don't have a plan. But what you need to start doing then is, if you are thinking about taking a gap year, what are you going to do during that time? Because, guys, a year seems like a very, very long time. Believe it, from someone who did take a gap year, it does go by very, very quickly. I think I only did half of the things on my list of things I wanted to do during that time. So make sure you have a bit of a plan and even a schedule. You want to do something by a certain month, say, and try your hardest to stick to it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to hear a few talks from some of my colleagues and myself about their experiences of taking some time out and what they did with that time.
Hello, my name is Lucy Williams. I'm from Higher Horizons, and I'm just going to spend a few minutes just talking about what I did after I did A-levels at my sixth form college and what I did afterwards. So I decided to take a year out. There was a few reasons why I wanted to take that year. So it's what we call a gap year just before university. I really struggled through my A-levels and I felt the pressure a bit. I did all right in the end, but I felt like it was a lot of work that I had to do. I just thought it was a really hard 2 years, and for one reason, I just wanted to have a little bit of a break before moving on to the next step. I also didn't actually get onto the original course that I wanted to go on at university, so I spent the year visiting year 13, visiting universities all over the country for a very specific course I thought I wanted to do, and I just didn't have enough experience. And also the course that I chose that I thought I wanted to do, I only let in a few people, like a handful of people. It's a really specific, hard course to get onto in the first place, which I didn't realise when I was in year 13. So I didn't actually get onto them because I didn't have enough experience. So I thought, right, I'll take a year out. In that year, I got all my experience that I needed. I did a lot of volunteering. I did a lot of community arts programs. I was like co-directing community theatre, involved loads of schools. It was really, really good. And I also got a part-time job as a steward at a theatre. And considering theatre was what I wanted to do, it was originally technical theatre that I wanted to do, the lighting and the sound. I thought this was great. This was all great experience. But also what I learnt in that year was the course that I originally wanted to go on, the tech theatre course, that was very specific, only letting a handful of people, was not actually best for me. It's not something that I would enjoy for the full 3-4 years, however long the course is going to be. So that's something that I learned on my year out, which is completely fine. It's great to learn these things. I spent some of the year researching other universities and other courses around theatre that were more suitable for me. And that's where I stumbled across the course that I eventually did. And the reason I picked that course is looking through prospectuses. And prospectuses, they kind of all look the same. All the courses, like, they kind of have the similar themes in it. But what stuck out for me for the course that I did actually do was there was something about it that was different to every other course, and that was it had this yearly trip away to another country where you do some theatre and work with some students from that country as well. So that's what stood out for me from that prospectus. I thought, yeah, that's the course for me. So there's no shame in taking a year out, and lots of people do lots of different things on a year out. For me, it was just a bit of downtime, a bit of reflection on what I wanted to do and get ready for those next steps. And I've never looked back. And I've gone on, done my master's degree, and I absolutely loved my degree. So, yeah, good luck to you all. And, yeah, that was just a bit about my gap year.
Okay, and now you're going to hear from me talking about my gap year and working. Hello, it's Jess again from Higher Horizons. So I just wanted to talk about my experience having a gap year. So I studied A-levels at a sixth form college, and it was the best time ever. I loved it. I loved the friends I made, the atmosphere, and it was really enjoyable. And I was actually really sad when it all ended. And what I did was I applied to go to university whilst I was studying my A-levels. So some of you might have already done that, or you're thinking about it for next year even. So yeah, I applied for my degree and I got on my course, which was great. And what I decided to do then was actually defer my entry. So rather than starting in the next term in September, I had a whole year out, and then I went to university after that year. So during my year out, the main thing I did was actually work. So I went into full-time employment for a whole year. So originally I was hired by a fashion retailer to work as a Christmas temp. So I'd had a few months continuing my part-time job as a waitress whilst I was at college, worked through until about September. And then when everybody else went off to university, most of my friends, that's what they did, I actually went to work for a fashion retailer for the Christmas period. So after the Christmas period, they decided that they wanted to keep me on full time, which was great. I really enjoyed the job. And I ended up being employed as somebody to co-run one of the departments as well. So clearly made a little bit of a good impression over the Christmas holidays. So things that I had to do during this year in the world of work, I had to get up very, very early for deliveries. I discovered what a commute meant, which was driving to my place of work. So I would be up at 6 a.m, I would commute, get there for 7 for deliveries, set up the department, all ready for when the shop opened. As one of the co-heads of that department, I had to take on customer queries or even complaints at times. You learn how to deal with that with communication. You learn your leadership skills, teamwork skills. So much of it came out of this job that I have carried through my whole career. So yeah, it was really helpful. I really enjoyed the job as well. I think that's quite important. So yeah, I gained loads and loads of experience from this, and actually it really grew my confidence levels as well. So when I did go to university a year later, I was only a year older than most of the people there, but I felt really confident. I'd already lived quite an independent life for that year previous. I'd, as I mentioned before, had to get myself up nice and early, commute to a job. I'd earned my own money as well, which gave me real independence, and I took ownership of my life, which was a great feeling. And then I got to university, and it was scary, but it was really exciting, and I felt very confident in what I was doing. When I first finished my A-levels, I didn't feel like that person at all, and I probably wasn't really ready to go to university at that stage. If I'd have gone, I'm sure I would have been fine. But for me personally, I'm really glad I took that year out just to take my own time to work things out. So I also spent that year out visiting friends at university, which just reinforced my feelings of wanting to go anyway. So it was really nice to visit friends and see them all where they're studying, and then get excited about my own course as well. So come September, I was really, really excited to go. So yeah, hopefully that has given you a little bit of insight into what it's like to take a year out in terms of working. So just to summarise up again, guys, I wasn't quite ready for studying anymore. I've, done my A-levels. I was pretty exhausted from all that. I wanted to study, but I just wasn't in the right headspace. I worked, I gained so many skills that are great for any CV. I even mentioned the sort of skills I learned all those years ago in jobs now. And by the time September came round the year later, I was really, really ready to go. So if that helps you in any way, guys, hopefully it has. So yeah, that's my story of a gap year and working. Okay, so now we have our colleague Lauren, who is going to be talking about her year that she took out and went travelling.
Hi guys, my name's Lauren and I work for High Horizons. Hope you're enjoying your day today. I've been asked to chat really briefly with you about my time spent travelling. So when I finished my A-levels, I thought about taking a gap year and going travelling then, and actually changed my mind and went straight on to university. And I actually went to travel after I'd been working for a couple of years. I think it's really important to take away from this really short talk that actually you can take time out whenever you need to if you can. So for me, I had been in a job that I didn't really love for a couple of years. I wasn't particularly happy in it. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go next. I was lucky in that I was living with my parents still. I didn't have my own house, my own flat or anything like that. So I was able to make that decision to go travelling for a few months. I decided to go to Australia and New Zealand, and I went on my own, which was pretty scary at the time, even though I was 23. And it was a really great time for me to let loose, give me a couple of months just to think about what I wanted to do without any pressures around me at all. I also learnt loads and loads of new skills and new things about myself that actually I use in the workplace today. So one of the things that I had to do when I was travelling was to talk to new people. I was away for 3.5 months, and if I'd spoken to no one during that whole time, I'd have been pretty lonely and wouldn't have got much done. So I had to sort of pluck up the courage to make new friends, just chat to roommates in the hostels that I was staying in, ask strangers for help sometimes, for directions. What do I do if this happens, if that happens? And I use that in the workplace now because I have to talk to lots of different people all the time. So that was a really, really great thing that I took from travelling. The other thing that I use a lot now is taking initiative and problem solving. So when you're travelling, sometimes things don't always go to plan. Sometimes your train might be cancelled, coach might be cancelled. Do I have to stay in this city for another day? So do I need to find some new accommodation for tonight? Where can I find that? Who can I go to help me? And that thinking on your feet is something that you have to do in your job as well. Companies want you to be able to problem solve and to be able to be independent and solve those problems. So that was really, really a great thing that came out of travelling too. The other good thing about travelling was it gave me that time to just sit back and think about what do I want to do next with my life. And I didn't have those pressures on me of at home. And it was just really nice to talk to lots of different people about what they were doing. I even met a couple of people who said they could offer me apprenticeships when I came back home if I wanted. So it really opened the door to a lot of new directions for me if I'd wanted to take those. Another great thing is if you wanted to go for a whole year, which is great, then there's the opportunity to work as well. So a lot of people that I met when I was travelling were on work visas, which meant that when they were over there, they might work for a little bit in one city, in the hostels, in pubs, in bars, hotels, wherever. They'd earn a bit of money and then they'd move on to the next place. And they'd spend the whole year doing that, maybe hopping between countries. And so that's a really good way to earn money, obviously earn skills on the job as well, which again, you can bring back home with you. So I would say, if you are capable of going away and travelling, even if it's not for a whole year, I would really, really recommend it because it's great for your independence, it's great for your confidence, it's memories that you can look back on forever. that you'll absolutely love and you can tell everybody about, and also you'll make friends sort of for life, some of them, and some of them actually might not live too far away from you back home, which is really nice as well. The final thing I would say is you're meeting people from all different backgrounds, all different cultures. And again, that's really, really important for back here in the workplace, when you're not just going to be working with people like you. There's going to be lots and lots of different people. So that's something else you can take back with you. If you do want to ask me any questions about my time travelling, I haven't really gone into too much detail about the experiences that I had, please do feel free to get in touch on higherhorizons.co.uk/ask and just chat to me, ask me any questions. That is absolutely fine. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day today. Like I say, any questions, just come and chat to me, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Bye.
So that is just 3 examples of taking some time out, resetting yourself, and the skills that you can gain during your year out. So I'll just leave you with this, guys. Whatever you do, whatever decision you make, just make the most of it. Time does go so quickly, and if you do take a gap year, make a little bit of a plan, have some goals that you want to set, and enjoy it. Just make sure you're having fun as well, guys. As Lauren mentioned, if you do want to talk to any of us at Higher Horizons, you can go to higherhorizons.co.uk/ask, and the whole team is there to answer any questions that you've got. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation today. I hope it's been helpful, or maybe even inspired you to make a little bit of a life-changing decision. So thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name's Chris. I'm one of the Higher Horizons Hub officers based at Staffordshire University, and today's session is going to be on higher and degree apprenticeships explained. So I'll just run through very briefly what I'm going to cover. So the basics of a higher and degree apprenticeship, some of the advantages that you may want to consider regarding a higher or degree apprenticeship, how to apply, and then a little activity on CVs, skills that will be important, and cover letters as well, because they will be an important part of any application for an apprenticeship. Different apprenticeship offers from universities, just go through a few examples of them, and then some frequently asked questions and useful websites just to finish as well. Okay, so what is a higher or degree apprenticeship? So in terms of the basics, an apprenticeship is a career option where you can train whilst on the job, in which you will earn a wage. Approximately 80 or 90% of the time will be spent in the job itself. The rest of the time will encompass some form of learning. And with degree apprenticeships, which we're talking about today, the learning will be generally at a university institution. A higher or degree apprenticeship can take 3 to 6 years to complete. It does vary on the vocation that you're pursuing, or the particular course or university that you're partnering with as well. Okay, so just a little bit more detail on higher and degree apprenticeships and the different levels. So a higher or degree apprenticeship gives you the chance to gain the same level of qualification that someone doing a standard university course would get, but the difference is that you would be earning money, whereas those people who just do the standard university course wouldn't be. So that is obviously an incentive for a lot of people to choose a degree apprenticeship or a higher apprenticeship. Higher and degree apprenticeships can be extremely competitive to get into, and if you are successful in getting into them, it is a demanding workload, so it's important that you are committed to that and you do realise that it will be quite an intense workload. But it is a chance to gain a head start in your chosen profession, to get straight in and get those years of experience, whether that's a really hands-on job that really lends itself to learning in a practical manner, for example. You might feel that you're getting a head start by getting that experience in. There's also a chance to earn a higher salary when completing the apprenticeship. On the right side of the screen there, you can see the levels of apprenticeship. So this is what we refer to when we talk about different levels and equivalent educational levels. So you can see that for a higher apprenticeship, that's levels 4, 5, 6 and 7. That starts at a foundation degree and then goes up. So you can see the equivalent educational level is 4, 5, 6 or 7 for a foundation degree and above. For a degree apprenticeship, it will be 6 or 7, and most people will be starting at 6 and doing the equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So that's what we talk about when we talk about level 6, level 7. Okay, so just some advantages of a higher and degree apprenticeship. I'm sure that you can try and think of some more as well, or maybe some disadvantages as well. The first one is that the government and your employer pays for your apprenticeship. Very simple, but you don't have to pay anything for your apprenticeship or the course that you're doing. Also, you've no student loan to pay back. That's very important as well. Chance to kickstart your career, I think I've already mentioned that, and the fact that your employer pays you a full-time salary. The statistics show that 77% of employees believe apprenticeships make them more competitive. And again, like I said before, particularly with the sort of vocations that lend themselves to hands-on practical work, it's a good idea to get that experience if you think an apprenticeship is for you. Training the skills employers want. That's an important one as well. Over the next few years, as technology develops, there may be new apprenticeships and new jobs that are coming forward, and there may be an opportunity for you to get involved in them. So that's something to consider as well. Okay, so just going on to how to find an apprenticeship. I would stress from the start of this, it's never too early to start research. Whatever stage you're at in terms of school or college, it's always a good idea to be proactive and start doing some research on different subjects that you may be interested in, different courses that universities offer, or degree apprenticeships as well if you're interested in that. So the first thing to do is to consider what subject you're interested in and if you could see yourself in that career. Try and weigh up the pros and cons of doing a degree apprenticeship or going to university to do a standard degree. Gain work experience. This is really crucial. Even if it's work experience that doesn't directly correspond to your area that you want to go into a degree apprenticeship in, that's absolutely fine. You're going to gain lots of transferable skills from any kind of work experience. So if you decide that an apprenticeship is the right route for you, firstly you'll need to approach an employer. If you're currently employed, it may be possible to do an apprenticeship for that employer, but if not, a good starting point is to look at the gov.uk website, and you can see just on the right side of the screen there, that's what it looks like. This will give you an idea of the apprenticeships available by location, as well as for your particular area of interest or vocation of interest. You can also filter down to certain keywords with a location radar as well, and you can also filter it down to the apprenticeship level that you want to start in. Try and think about how your specific skill set applies to that particular apprenticeship. Okay, so we're going to talk about skills in a bit more detail now. So very simply, your skills are the things that you do well. Everyone has loads of skills that they use on a day-to-day basis, and lots of skills, what we call transferable skills, that you will have built up over experiences, whether that's at school or in extracurricular activities, for example. But it is really important to recognise your own skills and keep a track of where you have shown evidence for them. And you'll need to mention those in a CV and a cover letter. So a lot of apprenticeship vacancies advertised will ask you to send a CV and a cover letter. I would say the vast majority of those vacancies, they will require those things. So the following slide is going to show a list of some skills. Have a think, when have you shown any of these skills? So there's loads of them on the screen that you can see there. I'm sure you can think of plenty more as well. And this is an activity that you can do anytime and just have a think about it. When have you shown evidence that you have used these skills? So I'm not going to read all of them out on the screen, obviously, but there's loads there that you will have shown throughout loads of experiences. As I said, it doesn't have to be at school. It could be in extracurricular activities as well. Okay, so just going into a little bit of detail on CVs. You might consider using a student or graduate CV if you're still at school, college or university, or if you've recently finished a full-time course. In a student or graduate CV, you highlight your qualifications first. If you've been in full-time education most of your life, your qualifications will probably be your main achievement. However, if you don't have a lot of work experience, try to make your coursework relevant to the skills you use in the job. For example, things like time management, research, IT skills, which you will definitely use over the years. And you can also say that you're a fast learner, for example, and are up to date with the latest equipment and techniques in your particular field or area of interest. So this is an example CV, so you can see what one may look like. So you can see that this person has done a short profile at the start, just summarising the skills that they've gained from both academic and work experience. And then they've gone on to talk about their education and qualifications. So if you're still at school, if you've done your GCSEs, for example, and got your results for your GCSEs, then obviously you would want to include that here in your education qualifications. And the same goes for other qualifications such as A-levels and BTEC. It may be that you want to put in your predicted grades if you haven't yet received them. Then this person has also talked about their voluntary experience and then gone on to talk about their work experience as well. As you can see, it's just relatively short bullet points. It doesn't need to be really long paragraphs, just summing up quite concisely what they gained from that particular experience. And then moving towards the end, this person has also put some interests as well. That is quite important, just to show that you're a well-rounded individual. Any extracurricular things that you've done or teams that you're a part of, for example, that's a really useful thing to put on a CV. Okay, so we'll go on to a covering letter. So a cover letter is a letter that basically only needs to be one page, that is in addition to your CV in summing up in a bit more detail the key points outlining your skills and experience. So as I said, it doesn't need to be too long, but it does need to be a well-written letter that will highlight and be really persuasive to the employer or the apprenticeship provider, outlining why you'd be suitable for that particular role. So we'll just go through a few top tips. There is a lot more information on cover letters on the internet as well. It's never too early to start thinking about putting together a draft cover letter, for example, for a particular apprenticeship. So that may be a good idea. So just going through some top tips. Definitely, if you can, use a computer and print out your covering letters. Most employers will prefer cover letters to be done this way, so they're easy to read. Really push your strengths. This is a really important point. You really want to be persuasive, and draw attention to your most relevant skills and achievements. So this is where you'll be providing a little bit more information on the skills and experience that are relevant to the job. So it could be referencing a particular experience and being really specific about something that's happened in one of your experiences, whether that's doing a work placement or an extracurricular activity or something at school. It doesn't really matter, but it is important that you are specific and persuasive. And another key point is to make it personal. So don't send out identical covering letters to loads of different apprenticeship providers. It may be that you want to apply to more than one apprenticeship, but make sure it is personalised and it is specific to that particular apprenticeship that you're applying to. It's much better to show that you've done your research on the company and know what they do. And of course, the employers will recognise that. So make it clear that you've thought about which skills they want and how you can provide them. So it's better to spend time writing 10 personalised covering letters than sending out 50 identical ones. Okay, so we'll move on to universities offering apprenticeships. So there are many universities all around the UK which offer degree apprenticeships. The university website will have a section specifically on the degree apprenticeships that are on offer. The amount of these may vary throughout the year. That's quite important. So it is different than just standard university courses, which generally will be pretty static in terms of they will be offered every year at that university. That's not necessarily the case with degree apprenticeships, and it may vary quite a bit in terms of what is on offer at that particular university. It will also give you more information on the process for making further inquiries. So it will normally give an email address that you can send some further inquiries to. I'll stress this again, it's very important to do your research and look at a range of options. Not all universities will offer the same subjects or vocations. So just because you see a university that offers a particular degree apprenticeship doesn't mean that other universities will offer that. And it might be that there's only one or two in universities in the UK that offer certain apprenticeships. So we'll just go through a few examples, just a few university examples. So Staffordshire University, where I'm based for High Horizons. Staff's university partner with a range of employers, including the NHS, BT, Siemens, the police force, and Bentley Motors to offer apprenticeships. So they offer a range of courses such as business administration, care services, digital courses, health and science, as well as policing apprenticeships that are on offer. And policing apprenticeships in particular, they are growing in terms of their number. So that is something that may be an option for you if you want to go down that career route. Maybe that Staffordshire University would be suitable for you. So Keele University, and again you can see the link to the website which will give you some more detail. Keele University are currently offering nursing associate apprenticeships, and Keele are currently working to develop more apprenticeship offers over the next few years. Harper Adams University, very specialised apprenticeships, and they are generally a specialised university as well. So focusing on specific subjects and courses. So their apprenticeships are specifically focused on areas such as food production, engineering, chartered surveying, and digital technology. So University of Chester, and again you can see the link if you want to look at some more details of their degree apprenticeships, but they offer again specialised apprenticeships focused on areas such as nursing, health and social care, and business leadership. Okay, so we'll go on to some frequently asked questions regarding higher and degree apprenticeships. So first one, what is the difference between a higher apprenticeship and a degree apprenticeship? So this is just referring to the table that I showed earlier on with the levels and the educational equivalents. So in qualification terms, the higher apprenticeship is level 5 and the degree apprenticeship is level 6. So the higher apprenticeship is the same level as studying a full-time foundation degree or higher national diploma, whereas a degree apprenticeship, so a level 6, that is the same level as a full-time degree programme. Do I apply for a higher or degree apprenticeship through UCAS? No. So that is quite important. You do need to gain the job first and get in touch with the employer first, and they will help you to apply to the university that they want you to study with. And it may be that they already have a certain partnership with a particular university, for example. Will I get paid whilst I'm on a higher or degree apprenticeship? Yes, absolutely. So you will receive a full salary from the employer whilst you're studying as well. Where do I find these apprenticeships advertised? So look upon any apprenticeship as a normal job opportunity. So employers generally will be advertising any apprenticeship vacancies in the same places that they would do normally for any other job vacancy in their company. So job sites like Indeed, their own websites, local newspapers, and additionally, as I said before, the gov.uk Find an Apprenticeship site is very useful. It's a very useful starting point for searching for some apprenticeships. And also the UCAS page does have an apprenticeship section. It's just that you don't apply for apprenticeships on the UCAS site in the same way as you would for a standard university course. I want to apply for a higher or degree apprenticeship but don't know my grades yet. That's absolutely fine. So this is the case for a lot of apprenticeships and a lot of people are in a similar position. The employer will expect you to list your expected grades or predicted grades. So if you don't already have those grades, then that's fine. As long as you put your predicted grades, then the employer will. Okay, so next question, can I apply for a higher or degree apprenticeship after year 11? Sorry, no. So you need to have gained a level 3 qualification before you apply for a higher or degree apprenticeship. So a level 3 qualification is either A-levels or a level 3 BTEC diploma, or it could be another vocational qualification. Or you could complete a level 3 advanced apprenticeship qualification as well. But no, you can't go straight into a higher or degree apprenticeship after year 11. What age do I need to be to start a higher or degree apprenticeship? You can start a higher or degree apprenticeship around 18 years of age, or at any age older than that. So as I said in the previous answer to the question at the top of the screen, you do need to finish your A-levels or BTEC qualification, or whichever qualification it is that you're doing, and you'll be around 18 before you can start a higher or degree apprenticeship. Okay, so a couple more questions. Will I need to pay tuition fees to the university where I'm studying on an apprenticeship programme? No, so the employer and the government will fund your tuition fees. You do not need to pay tuition fees. I'm not sure if I should apply for a full-time degree programme at university or look for an apprenticeship. So there's nothing to stop you applying for both. It's always good to keep both options open. So apply through UCAS for a full-time degree, but also be looking for higher or degree apprenticeships. If you manage to get an apprenticeship that you're happy with, then you can withdraw your UCAS application. That's absolutely fine. If you don't manage to get an apprenticeship that you want, or there's nothing that comes up that's right for you, then you'll still have your place at university to go to in September. So don't worry if you're caught between two minds. There's nothing to stop applying for both and keeping your options open. But as I said at the start, really do your research and be proactive, and think about your options going forward. So finally, just some useful websites and links. The Office for Students website that has information specifically about degree apprenticeships, some important information on the potential pros and cons. The gov.uk website, I've already shown you what it looks like. It's the official government website for apprenticeships, and that will give you information about current vacancies. And as I said as well, the UCAS website, that has a section on apprenticeships with a breakdown of both higher and degree apprenticeships, with case studies from current apprentices as well. Okay, so I hope all that information has been useful for you. As always, you can chat to the High Horizons team at www.highhorizons.co.uk/ask if you have any other questions about anything related to apprenticeships or degree apprenticeships, or anything related to your future plans as well. So thanks very much for listening and good luck.
Hello, my name is Lucy and I'm from Higher Horizons based at the University of Chester Hub. Today we're just going to do a short session on mock interviews. So we're very quickly going to help you be able to identify what makes a good interview, what makes a bad interview, the do's and the don'ts, but also looking at interviews nowadays where it could be over Skype virtually as well as interviews in person. They all kind of have the same rules. So some of those rules, what makes a good interview? Smart dress code, want to dress for the occasion. Again, even if you are doing an interview over Skype or any other platforms, online interviews, you do need to be dressed appropriately and to just to impress them. But also, again, if you're having an interview in person, that again is really important. We want to get across that you're professional and you dress appropriately, and just dress smartly. Arriving early. Again, this could work virtually and in real life. So virtually, there might be a meeting set up on Skype or on Zoom. Make sure you're there a few minutes early, just so you show that you're keen and you're willing. And again, that absolutely is what you should do in interviews where it's person to person. I always try and arrive around 15 minutes before the interview starts. Just again, you're showing, say if there's a receptionist, the receptionist are making notes on you as well as the interviewer. The interviewer might ask what time did they arrive, and they say they arrived 15 minutes early. They were studying notes in the waiting room, not on their phone, waiting for their interview. So there's so much just from arriving early. Handshake and eye contact, again, not something that the handshake side anyway, is not something we can do at the moment on lockdown, but definitely eye contact. If you're doing a virtual interview, try and look into the camera as much as you can. Try and look away as much. You want to engage with that interviewer and show that you're interested and you're listening to what they're saying, so a bit of active listening just by looking at them. And again, this works face to face. You have to show you're listening to them, and that comes across with eye contact. Eye contact can be a bit awkward. You are allowed to blink. It doesn't have to be a stare, because that might creep them out actually. So just be as natural as you can. Look at them as much as you can, and just that goes with your body language. You have to show that you're interested. Stop looking around, or looking at the time, or just not looking bothered. You there because you want that job. The interviewer wants to give you that job, but they need to show that through an interview, show that you're a good person, you know how to answer these things. It's just a process that everyone has to go through. So show willing. If you want that job, show it through your body language. You can show so much. Even by not saying anything, your body language is saying a lot already. Try and be as confident as you can about speaking about yourself in positive ways, about all these wonderful skills that you have and wonderful things that you're doing that makes you a really great person. And that's it. They want to know who you are. So get that across. Prepare yourself to talk about yourself in a really positive way. Show all those skills that you have. Always prepare a question. I'd say that's quite a key one, especially that's personal, is a key thing. At the end of an interview, they will ask you, do you have any questions for us? Even if you already maybe know half of the answer, ask the question. Again, it shows that you're willing, shows that you're keen, shows that you're interested in the role, you're interested in them, and you want to know more. So always prepare a question. And research. So Google the company. How long, you could ask yourself these questions. How long has the company been running? Have they won any awards? You could bring that up. Little sly remark to bring that up, and they'd be really impressed with that. Look if there's any articles, anything that they've done recently in the news, any YouTube videos that you have. You can reference them just very subtly within an interview, and they'll be really impressed with that. But also, you've got to research the job role. You have to know what you're stepping into and what you're interviewing for. Do you know what the working hours are? You need to know those expectations. The wage, do you know what that is? It's always an awkward question to ask about money, but you need to know these things. Is it a job where you're going to be able to afford to pay bills, or to maybe just help you prepare for university or help you alongside college? You need to know how much you are going to get paid. Are there any benefits to the job? And also weekend working. Have you looked into that? Will you have to be working weekends? Is it evening work? Is it unsocial hours? And also on some applications, they'll say, email this person if you want to find out more about the job. And I say, absolutely do it. Again, anything that you can do to show that you're really keen and you're willing. But also, it's putting your name on a piece of paper, and they highlight that name, like, oh, they asked us a question, and you're already getting, the interview starts, say, when you're asking questions over an email. They will remember you. So I'd say it's quite a good thing. Yes, interviews can be stressful, but look at it as a two-way process. So yes, they are interviewing you, they're making notes on you, but also look at it as you're interviewing them. Is it the right place for you? You're taking notes in your head. Is this somewhere that I could work? Is this the right environment for me? Can I work with a small team? Can I work with a larger team? So the decisions about that job, as well as they're making decisions about you. So maybe that could stress, because it is a two-way process. Okay, we've got an activity now. I want you to go and get a pen and paper, and we're going to show you a video. There's 2 interviews on this video. It's only a short video, around 8 minutes long. And I want you to make notes on what was good about the interview, what was bad about the interview, is there anything that they could improve on? But also, you want to make notes, because this is all about you. How would you answer those questions? They're very typical interview questions. Make a note in your head, make notes, have a look at your CV if you've written one, and think, what would I say for that question, and what skills have I got that I could bring to the table to help answer those questions? Okay, so press play on the video now, and I shall see you soon.
Good morning, Lucy, is it?
Hi, yes it is. Thank you very much for seeing me today.
No problem. I'm Lewis. I'll be interviewing you today. So can we start things off with you telling me a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, so I'm just finishing off my college courses at the moment. I'm doing some A-levels. They're going really well. I live at home with my family. I have a big family, animals, and I like to take care of them as well. Also, when it was the coronavirus lockdown, when we were all stuck inside, I decided to volunteer as a supermarket volunteer. So I go and deliver food packages to vulnerable people. So I just like to put myself out there and seek opportunities that I know benefit others, but also benefit myself as well.
That's great. That's a great thing you did. Thank God coronavirus is over, eh?
Yes.
So why should we hire you?
Well, I'd say that I'm pretty hardworking. I'm doing really well on my A-levels. I'm a good communicator, so I'm also captain of the sports teams as well. So I can work in a team, but also work independently. And yes, I'm a really good team player. I'm a good communicator.
That's great. So what's your greatest strength?
I'd say probably maintaining positivity. So there's been a few assessments. Obviously, as you may or may not know, going to college can be quite stressful. We have presentations and assessments to do. So I think I'm quite a good person who's a good team leader, good for bringing up team morale, bring on a positive platform, and then we can work together to deliver a really good presentation or assessment. It was a presentation, that example, but yeah, so I think I'm a good team player, team leader, and positive.
Okay, so what about your greatest weakness?
It's something I'm working on. But like I say, I am a good team leader and I work with teams. But I think for myself, I could be better at delegating tasks to other people, just to relieve myself from stress, but also to show other people that I trust that they can do a really good job. It's something I'm working on, and it's something that I'm getting better at, but it's definitely something that I can focus more on.
Mm-hmm. So what are your salary expectations in the job?
Well, the job description was pretty clear. My expectations, well, I know my expectations from reading that job, and that's why I applied, and obviously thank you for taking me to interview level. But I think I know the expectations of the job, and the salary. Yes, I'll support my studies as I move to university, and it will do me well, and hopefully I can progress as well and grow within your company.
Okay, so why do you want the job?
Well, yes, so I am moving to university. That's why I have to leave my current post as my part-time job at college. But I just want to support my studies, help give me some extra money whilst I'm at university. But also I want to learn skills that I can use within my degree, and hopefully learn skills within my degree that I can bring to the workplace as well, and just develop myself into a more rounded person.
Okay, great. So how do you handle stress and pressure?
So there's only been a few, haven't had too much stress or pressure so far in my life, luckily. But I was team captain of the sports teams, and it doesn't matter if we win or lose a game. It's about keeping that positivity, but also playing to our best and being able to play under pressure, and feeling satisfied and succeeding within ourselves. It doesn't matter if we succeed in the game. So I think, just playing games, keeping the pressure up and working together as a team to be successful.
Okay, so what are your goals for the future?
Well, I want to achieve my degree. Obviously, that's why I'm going to university. But also, I'd love to work myself my way up within your company, and like I say, work alongside my degree, and hopefully get me the first step on the career ladder within your company. And I'd love to work up, and that is my dream.
Okay, that's great. So, do you have any questions for me before we finish?
Yeah. Do you think there's much room for progression, or what progression rates do you see? So if I'm going in at a basic level, and like I say, I've expressed that I want to work up in the career, is there room for me to do that? Is there opportunities that I could take?
Absolutely. So if you work hard, you let us know. We can spot talent, and we can fast track you through the company if we see that talent there and the hard work. Absolutely.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thanks for interviewing with us today, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Jessica, is it?
Yes, hello.
Hi, I'm Lewis, and I'll be interviewing you today. So let's kick things off with you telling me a little bit about yourself, please.
So I'm a Capricorn, and I love animals and the outdoors, and I'm just a really bubbly person.
Okay, so why should we hire you?
Well, I think I'd be really good at the job, and I think people would really like to work with me. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your greatest strength?
My greatest strength. I think my greatest strength is I'm always really positive.
Okay, that's great. What about your greatest weakness?
Oh, I don't think I have any. No.
No? Okay. So why do you want to leave the job that you're in now?
Well, at the minute, I'm not really doing the job I want. I just work there because, I've got to pay rent and bills. And I don't really enjoy it. I just go and do what I need to do and then go home. So I'm just looking for something that's going to make me happy.
Okay, so what about your salary expectations? How much are you hoping to earn with us?
Well, probably a lot more than I'm already on right now. And I don't know really, whatever you think would be best, I think.
Okay, so why do you want this job?
Well, I really like the title. I think it sounds really impressive. So that would look really good, on my LinkedIn profile. And I think that, I think I just want the job really. I think it looks really good.
Okay, so how do you handle stress and pressure?
How do I handle stress? Well, I'm really into meditating. So I do that quite a lot. And I think about nice things if I'm getting stressed. Yeah.
Okay, so what are your goals for the future?
Sorry, my dog's barking. What? Can you say that again?
Yes. What are your goals for the future?
My goals for the future. Okay. Just to be really successful, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so have you got any questions for me before we finish?
Oh, have I got questions for you?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay, so thanks very much for the interview. We'll be in touch.
Brill, thanks.
Okay, so you should have watched the videos now. Hopefully you got loads of notes on what was good, what was bad, and hopefully all we want to do is help you inform how you do these things and help prepare you better for interviews that might come up. You might have interviews for jobs, for college, for university. The same rule applies to all interviews of what we said, the do's and the don'ts. So I would really like to know what you put as good, what you put as bad. Who had the best interview? Was it Jess? Was it Lucy? Who would you hire? Please log on to higherhorizons.co.uk/ask. Log on, ask any questions to any of our team. I am on there as well. And just give me those answers about the interviews. I'd really love to know. Okay, so thank you for listening. Again, if you have any questions about anything, about job interviews, college, university, applications, just log on to higherhorizons.co.uk/ask and we'll be there to answer your questions as quickly as we can. Okay, thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Lindsay Smith, here to talk to you again about an alternative option to university. I've called this talk Start Up and Study, and it is pretty niche, I suppose, in terms of the idea of what I'm going to put across to you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about setting up your own business, but also ensuring that you are able to develop yourself at the same time as you do that. So I'm going to be talking to you about combining part-time study with the potential for setting up your own business. Now, this may seem like a very ambitious plan at this stage, and it may be something that at this point you think, no, I'm not ready for that. I want to go into a sort of structured learning environment, or I want to go and work for an employer. And that is absolutely understandable. However, I have seen, I suppose from a lot of my friends over the years, I have seen people working for perhaps small businesses where they have thought, do you know what, I could do this freelance. I've developed the skills that I need. I want to go and work freelance. But at the same time, I've also seen people who have gone into an area of work, got that experience, but really regretted not having the qualifications that they need to progress in that field. And so I suppose what I'm talking about here is combining those two ideas in a way. I think this could be particularly interesting as we go into the next few years, where the economy could be a little bit shaky and it could be challenging to find really high-level apprenticeships, so higher apprenticeships, degree apprenticeships. So I suppose what I have been thinking about and pondering is how to essentially replicate that experience, but independently. Now, this may be something that you aren't ready for yet, but hopefully I will plant a seed in your thinking today that, should you need it in years to come, will thrive into a beautiful tree. Let's think about why you would do this. So it could be that you have a skill or a business idea that you are particularly passionate about, or you have a particular talent where you think, I could make this into a viable business. It could be that you're working for somebody else and perhaps growing frustrated and thinking, no, I could do this better. It could be, as I've just mentioned, that there are not apprenticeships out there in the field that you want to go into, and so this may be something that you want to build for yourself. Or it could just be a desire to be your own boss. I think quite a lot of the time, new businesses are born out of frustration of working for somebody else and knowing that you have your own ideas and you want to do it your way. It's absolutely a legitimate reason to do it. But also you get to choose your qualifications. If you're studying part-time, you get to choose your business. And so it gives you that real independence to work everything together and hopefully get the combination right and all the ideas right, and turn it into something that could be really effective. You also may just not want to be tied to a company for the duration of an apprenticeship. It is, years. And it may be something where you think, no, I don't know if I actually want to commit to this and low wages and whatnot for that time, potentially. See, there is variation in the terms and conditions. But it could be that you just want to go do it yourself and do it your own way, essentially. So challenges. It can take a lot of bravery, a lot of determination, and it can be a lot of hard work. You may also need some funding to start, which obviously can be challenging to come by. You may need to approach people to help with funding. You may need to bid. So really important that you weigh up these kind of things before you even get started, so that you appreciate the challenges and you're ready for them. There are elements to starting up that can be a bit intimidating. So understanding the tax system, insurance, making sure that you have the right insurance in place, registering a business, also knowing what you need to keep records of, all these kind of things. And also this idea of part-time study. For some instances, you may need to fund it yourself. Now, it could well not be the case, because for part-time courses that are university courses, if you like, you can get student loans for tuition in the same way that you would if you're going to any other university course. You can't get the maintenance loans for your day-to-day living costs, but you can get the tuition fee loan. And so that is really useful, because it means that it gives you obviously all the same really long periods of time to be able to pay it back. It means that you wouldn't pay until you'd completed your course, and even then you would only pay back 9% of anything you earn above that threshold. So it really does help, the fact that you can get those tuition fee loans. For certain courses, like certain MVQs, you wouldn't automatically get that tuition fee funding. But there are quite often industry bodies that can offer grants or subsidies, different ways that you can fund those courses. The reason that I've put this down as a challenge is not because you would absolutely have to fund it yourself, because that probably isn't going to be the case. It's that you know to investigate that and to check that there is funding available for the qualification that you're hoping to pursue. So, in terms of finding the right qualification to go alongside the interest that you have, I found a lot of examples for construction. So some of you may be finishing courses in plastering. You may have just trained in being an electrician. There are lots of different sectors that you could set up on your own and also maybe wish to develop it so that in years to come you have a goal of achieving this qualification, potentially to go on to larger sites, or perhaps just to really develop your own business. So I have found HNC at Warrington Bear Royal College. That may be something that you want to look into. I've also found an MVQ, and that will help you to get your CSCS Black Card, which is amazing for getting onto the larger sites, which again could really help you to grow and develop. It could be that you want to go into something totally different to that. I think when you think about setting up a business, quite often you may think of businesses that provide services sort of, within the household or construction or whatever it may be. It could be completely different to that. You may go for something like web design, where you could look to the Open University and add in a computing and IT degree. Open University is an amazing institution, and one of the things that they do that I absolutely love is they let you essentially do a pick and mix degree where you can choose modules from different subjects and put them together to build the credits that you need to get the degree. So you could do modules in marketing, in business, in something like IT, and combine them all together to form a qualification that's really going to meet the exact needs that you have to develop and go into what it is that you want to do. So absolutely incredible institution. I would say it's a pretty good starting point for any kind of distance or part-time learning. Some of you may prefer to go for local options where you've got that support network and where you can go into a college and interact with people as well, because it can be quite isolating. So it's about thinking about what's the right course for you, what's the right environment for you, to make sure that you get the support that you need and also that you come out with a qualification that's going to work really well for you. So it's going to take a little bit of research, but there are absolutely tons of options out there. One thing that I did find as I was searching through that I thought was fascinating was a course in Chinese business etiquette and the sort of, I suppose, cultural differences in the way that you would do business with China. I thought that could be really interesting because when you look at a lot of products that are manufactured cheaply, it involves the business owner liaising with China to bring them over. So I thought something like that could be really useful for some businesses. That isn't part of a degree, that was just a standalone module. And there are tons and tons of those kinds of qualifications out there as well that you can just use to develop your own knowledge, your own practice. So yeah, if you're anything like me, it can be a dangerous game because you can log onto the website, find things, and before you know it, you're signing up for all kinds of strange courses. But at the same time, really fascinating, and hopefully it'll keep you learning, developing and really enjoying what you're doing for years to come, if you can find the right course to supplement what you want to do. So we have spoken a little bit about the part-time study element to it. In terms of the business, first thing that you need to do is make sure that there's a demand for what you are hoping to offer, whether that's a service or a product, whatever it may be. So it's about doing market research. At this point, I should say I'm absolutely not a business advisor. This is purely based on, I suppose, my own experience setting up the business, but also from support that I've got. Now, there are lots of sources of support that are out there. You've got Chambers of Commerce, you have local enterprise partnerships, all kinds of organisations that can help to tell you about the business needs, demand in your area, and to help you set up a business plan and potentially even apply for funding. So it's about linking in with those services as well. But the most important thing is obviously making sure that you are going to have customers for whatever it is that whatever service or product you may be offering. Also making sure that you get the charging point right, that you aren't underselling yourself, but also that you're not, outpriced. Also making sure that you are going to turn a profit, that you're going to have enough money to run your business, but also to live off, and potentially, hopefully you wouldn't have to, but potentially also feed into any tuition costs that you might have for part-time learning that you're doing alongside things. So I would say at the early stages of setting up a business, look for the support that is out there. Get in touch with the Chamber of Commerce, and get help with establishing that business plan and those initial ideas, really. So, basics of the scary bit, the tax bit. So essentially, when you look at how much you've earned over the course of a year, you are going to have to file a tax return by the January after your first tax year in business. What that is going to look at is how much profit you've made, and you will have to pay 20% of tax if you're a sole trader. This is 20% of tax on anything that you earn above £12,500. So you need to have put that aside over the course of the year. So there's maths and self-discipline and all those kind of things involved in this bit. National insurance is similar. You can earn up to £9,500 and you need to put aside 9% of anything you earn above that. Class 2 national insurance is flat rate. You pay £3.6 a week. So again, you need to put that aside from any profit you're making as you're going along. Otherwise, you could find yourself with a big tax bill. And if you haven't put aside your earnings to cover that, then it can be a little bit problematic. So you need to make sure that you know what your liabilities are and roughly how much you need to be putting away. Obviously, when you first set up, you do need to register with HMRC, who will then send you emails when it's time to file tax returns, when it's time to pay, those kind of things. And yeah, as I said, you submit a tax return each January. So if you started in, the December, your first tax year would run from that December until the April. You would then need to file a tax return by the following January and pay any tax that you owed for that time. So you have a little bit of time to collect that amount and get it all ready, but you do need to make sure that you're putting it aside as you go along, otherwise you could find yourself in a pickle. Okay, so day to day, that means you need to monitor any money that you've got coming in. You also need to keep track of any expenditure going out. Keep receipts. Track your profits as you go, because obviously you want to make sure that you are making money and that you are going to have enough to live off. If you need to do any additional marketing or rethink your business plan, then you need to know when there's a problem. So make sure that you do keep on top of these things. These are some of the reasons why I'm saying it may be something that you feel like you're not ready for quite yet, because some of this stuff can be a little bit intimidating. But in years to come, you may think, do you know what, I'm ready for this. And so, yeah, really important that you know some of the things that you have to do to set up, really. So, things to remember. Firstly, do your research in every element of this, really. So in terms of making sure you've done your market research, you know who your competitors are, you know how much to charge, those kind of things. Make sure that you have a mission statement, that you know what you want to achieve, that you have very clearly in your mind an image of what you want your company to be and who you want it to meet the needs of and what kind of service you want to offer. Have that mission statement, build your entire business plan around it, and your business plan should track any growth that you want to have, what your hopes are in terms of turnover and things like that for the business as well. You also need to think about how to market it, research those kind of things, look at social media, what are effective strategies, what's everyone else doing, essentially, and how can you put a different twist on that and, yeah, really work on it to build your business. Also, you're going to need to think about how to integrate your study within that business and make sure that you are choosing the right qualifications to help you to grow and develop in that way as well. Also, research all of your liabilities in terms of tax, national insurance, and make sure that you are putting that money aside to make sure that you have the right plans there, and make sure that you get relevant business insurance to go alongside it too. So loads to think about. I don't want to scare you, but at the same time I want you to appreciate the things that you do have to do. What I would say is when you look at a list like this, it can seem like it's totally unachievable, like it's too scary and completely intimidating. It's actually simpler than you might think. The key part is making sure that you're providing a really quality service that you can then grow and develop and add those qualifications in to make sure that it really does meet your aims. So that's all from me. I will leave it on that note. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you found it useful. And if you do have any other questions that you want to address, then there will be the opportunity to email me if you want to ask anything. I know it's quite a complicated topic and I've literally just swept over it quite quickly. So if you do want any extra detail on anything, let me know and I will be able to signpost you if I don't know the answers myself. Lovely, thanks very much for your time. I hope it's been useful. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name's Lewis Evans. I'm a UniConnect project officer with Higher Horizons, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about my time at university. So I studied history at the University of Liverpool from 2015 to 2018. I also did a master's afterwards, and I'm just going to talk about my time. I won't be just to be talking about history, so if that's not something you're interested in, I'm still going to talk about a lot of relevant stuff about university. So first of all, getting to university. So I chose A-levels that I enjoyed that were loosely related. They weren't a requirement for my course, but some courses ask for specific A-levels. So if you're doing like a medicine, they might ask for some sciences, things like that. Doing history, they didn't ask for any specific requirements of A-levels, but I chose politics and philosophy and ethics alongside them just because they gelled quite well with the humanities. They're quite similar subjects. So I received A, B, C, so A in history, B in politics and C in philosophy and ethics, and I was offered a place at my first choice, which is the University of Liverpool. So when I initially got my grades, I didn't think I got into my first choice because they asked for A, B, B, but I did. So if you're slightly below what they asked for, don't worry about it. Of course, it's not going to be the same for everywhere that let you in, but a lot of the time, it's not as strict as you think it is. So how you apply for universities through UCAS. UCAS is the University and Colleges Admission Service. It's the actual process of how you apply. So the process is quite long, but you do receive a lot of support from your college or sixth form. So I would say, get stuck in as soon as you can, really. As soon as you start year 13, don't wait till after Christmas or even later than that. Get stuck in before your workload piles up with your last year of A-levels. So how the student finance system works, I would make sure you really understand this before you think about university. So it is true that university costs £9,250 a year, but you absolutely don't pay this up front. So you take what's called a student loan, and these are paid back when you start earning over £25,000. So just to show you a little bit about it, I'm not currently paying anything back, and I graduated 2 years ago now. So, and after 30 years, the slate's wiped clean. So it's, I'm not going to explain it, in depth. There's lots of resources out there. If you had any questions, go to higherhorizons.co.uk/ask. If you had any specific questions, any one of the team would be really look forward to helping you. So just make sure you understand the system, really. It's a bit scary at first, paying all that money, but you don't really pay the money, and it's not sort of conventional debt with, if you can't pay it back, the bank comes to your house knocking at your door asking for the money. It's not like that at all. So there's many types of accommodation at university. There's self-catered or catered. So if you're self-catered, you do your own food. If you're catered, they typically offer you breakfast and tea or dinner. And there's on-campus or off-campus, which is a bit more self-explanatory. So some universities are called campuses. It's like the sort of the centre, the hub of university. You can live real close to the hub, so like you can just roll out of bed at 8:55 and get to your 9 a.m. lecture, or you can choose to live off campus if you want to. And you also don't have to live at university at all. You can still live at home. That's absolutely an option. You know, don't pay anywhere near as much as you would for accommodation, or if you get lucky, your parents might let you live there for free. That's an option as well. Or you don't have to choose a university accommodation at all. So a lot of private companies will offer flats for students. You don't have to go with university at all. And so Freshers Week, what's Freshers Week? So it starts a week before university does, and it's the time to go out and meet people. So this just doesn't involve drinking. I know you've heard a lot of things about students just drinking. If that's not your thing, then that's absolutely fine. It's not just drinking at all. So Freshers Week, there's also Freshers Fair, which is a separate thing, and that's when all the societies, which are the clubs at university, go out and advertise themselves, and you learn a little bit about them. You hopefully sign up to a few and try out new things. So it's, like I say, it's a great opportunity to get stuck into a new sport or an old sport you've not played for a while, or other societies. And when you go to uni, everyone who goes to uni has at least one good story from Freshers Week. So if you're watching with parents that have been to uni or teachers, ask them and see if they'll share a story. Hopefully they will, they might not. But yeah, everyone who goes to uni has got a great story from Freshers Week. So first year. First year is the place to make friends, really, settle in. So what's great about university is, at the moment, you'll probably have quite a not very diverse group of friends. You're from the same place, you all like the same things, but university, that totally widens up. So I know people from all around the country now, all sorts of different ethnicities, things like that, people you wouldn't really meet, you might not meet from where you're from. So I'm from the countryside, and I just had all white, working class friends, but it really opens up when you get to university, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's a time to learn to live without parents or carers. So just things like cooking, cleaning, doing your washing, things like that. It's absolutely alright to make mistakes. So first year I nearly burnt the kitchen down by leaving a fork in the microwave, so I wouldn't do that at all if I were you. So it's a good time to learn some basic skills in the summer before. See if your parents or carers spend a bit of time teaching you, basic, if you don't know already, making some basic meals, doing washing, things like that. It's a great time to learn these basic skills. So some universities will give you the option to take a minor subject as well, to learn a bit more different things. So I wanted to take politics, but that was full. So I took Irish studies because it was basically Irish history. I quite enjoyed it, but I chose to drop it after first year, which is absolutely an option, just because I wanted to do more history really. But it was a great thing to learn a bit more about Irish history, which I didn't really know much at all about before. So it's also time to get used to independent study. So it's really key to be self-disciplined. So for history, you have a few contact hours. So you need to, do a lot of reading in your own time. Figure out a time to do a bit of reading, so you don't fall behind. So first year generally doesn't count to your final grade, which you might be thinking, oh great, I can do not much at all. But that's not true. You still need to pass, so you do need to work hard to get at least a pass. So with history anyway, you have typically no choice over modules. You study a wide range of history. So a few of my modules were religion, politics, society, 800 to 1600, Europe 1870 to 1939, the background to the Troubles in Northern Ireland 1920 to 1970, and Britain in the Second World War. So as you can see, it's a really wide range of modules you can pick. So you've also got extracurricular activities and work. So there's sports at all levels at university. So for example, football, you might think, oh, if there's so many thousand people, I really like football, but there's so many thousands at uni, how am I going to get on the team? It's not quite the case. So there's dozens and dozens of football teams at university. So you'll have one within your subject, like history will have a football team. There'll be all sorts of different levels you can play at, so don't worry about, if going into sort of a big pond at all. So I played badminton, which is something I liked at school, and I sort of stopped playing, but it was a great time to pick back up and learn. So there's lots of different societies out there as well. So, and you can also, if it doesn't exist, you can create it as well. So if you had an idea for a society, you could create one, which is great. So also with university, with not having a lot of contact hours, you have a lot of time to work and earn money, and also fill out your CV, which is great for if you're looking for employment afterwards. So my work as a student ambassador, which I did at university, helping people out on open days, things like that, helping freshers move in, actually helped me get my current job I'm in now. So it really is worthwhile doing a bit of work while you're at uni. I know it's very tempting to just lounge around all day. I know you'll get that temptation, but it is good to join societies, play some sports, work a little bit. So there's lots of other ways to enhance your CV and prepare yourself for your future career. So every university has a careers department who are there to help you find part-time employment and also make yourself more employable for life after university. So things like volunteering, becoming a leader in a society, treasurer, chairman, these different posts are really valued by employers. So it's a great time to not just knuckle down and do work, but also, brush up your CV. So second year, probably my favourite year at uni really. So it was generally the year to move out of halls and live with who you want and where you want. But also equally, you don't have to move out at all. If you're living at home or want to go back home, that's fair enough. You can also stay in halls if you want. So some people move out for first year, make new friends, and then move back home in second and third year, save money. You can literally do whatever you want. So there's a less rigid programme of study, so there's more choice to branch out into what you're interested in. So obviously history is absolutely enormous. You can choose to study almost whatever you like. So my modules included Chairman Mao in Communist China, France 1871 to 2015, and Eastern Europe 1918 to 1945. So you can see they're all quite recent history, generally 20th century, a little bit of the late 19th century. So I chose all these modules, and it's much more enjoyable picking modules, doing modules that you've picked. So also thanks to long holidays and my student loan, I did a lot of travelling the second year. So I went to Budapest, Amsterdam, and had a chilled out holiday in Spain with friends. So this picture there on the right is top of Buda Hill in Budapest. So it's a good time to just branch out and do different things. So final year is the year to mostly put the fun part of uni aside and knuckle down, unfortunately. So third year counts as 70% of your final grade, so you really have to put the work in to get the degree that you came for. So final year is also the dissertation year. So dissertation is a very long essay based on the subject of your choosing. So you have to put a question, quite a unique question, and try and answer that question, and it's totally up to you to do that. So mine was about Nazi Germany, and I sort of critiqued a book that had been really well respected for about 50 years and turned things on its head, ask difficult questions. And it's really, really fun, to be honest, when you come away with it thinking, you're an expert in this field. It's really, really great. So you have a lot of time with tutors. So you just have to schedule these appointments yourself, someone who will be like a real expert in whatever you've chosen. That's great. But you've got to, self-discipline. Hopefully you've learnt in first year will be really beneficial in final year. So yeah, a very light timetable. It's almost completely independent study with lots of guidance from tutors that you need to seek out yourself. So finally you're done. Graduation. So graduation's a day to dress up and celebrate with your friends and family. You've finally done it. You've finished your 3 years or however long you've done, and you have a little celebration. To be honest, I find the ceremony quite boring. Very long, and it was a very hot day. But the day of the whole is brilliant. You go out with a meal with your family, have a few drinks with your friends. It's an absolutely fantastic day. So So qualifications are the key to success and they open more doors for you. This really is true. So the more qualifications you have, the better, really. So having a degree, you may think, well, everyone's got a degree, but that puts you on equal footing with other people rather than being behind. So there's a thing called academic inflation, and that means that if everyone's got a degree, you need a degree as well to keep up with everyone. So it's a really good thing to do university because you get the degree and get the extra qualification. So on average, graduates earn £10,000 more per year than non-graduates. So if you're thinking about the money side of it, it's not guaranteed that you're going to earn more, but that is the case on average. And you can also still access some university services such as the careers service after you graduate, which can help you with CVs, looking for jobs, cover letters, everything like that. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. So if you had any questions, for me specifically, you can go to highhorizons.co.uk/ask. You can find me on that page and chat to me, ask me a few questions about my time at uni, or if you didn't want to talk to me, or you can pick anyone to speak to on the website there. So that's highhorizons.co.uk/ask. And I want to thank you for downloading this resource, and we could ask you to please fill out a quick survey if that's possible. So the link should be provided with the resource. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Jess, and to everyone that took part in today's Leavers Week broadcast. I hope today was useful to anyone who wanted to explore their options and what is available to you after college if you're still undecided. If you have any questions for our speakers today, then please leave a message in the live chat next to the video player, and then we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now we're back again tomorrow for day 2 of our Leavers Week, where we'll be looking at the ways you can stay motivated, active, and look forward to the future. Bye for now, and stay safe.
Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see 2 symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Pick it up. Good. Keep going. Are we ready? We're about to go at 100% energy. Jogging as fast as you can on the spot. 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go. Fast as you can. Keep jogging. Go, 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 go. Faster. 3, 2, 1. Stop. How can you ensure that you're getting active for 60 minutes every single day? What can you do? Write yourself a goal. Tip number 4, drink lots of water. All our organs in our bodies need water to function properly. And if you're dehydrated, your body isn't running well, and that can lead to stress. Just by being dehydrated by half a litre can cause the stress hormone cortisol to increase, which means you're going to feel more stressed. And when you're stressed, your body is working harder, so it needs more water to function. It's a never-ending cycle. By drinking 2 to 2.5 litres every single day, it will help you to stay hydrated. I always try and make sure that I have my water bottle with me wherever I go throughout the day, ensure that when it runs out, I top it up, so I've always got water with me, staying hydrated wherever I go. How can you ensure you're staying hydrated? How can you ensure you're getting more water in your diet? Write yourself a goal. Maybe it's staying away from sugary drinks, drinking more water regularly, or having a water bottle handy. Write something down that you feel that you could stick to. Tip number 5, take part in some relaxation exercises. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, then some relaxation exercises may help to bring your body back to a calm state. Only when we feel calm do we have complete clarity over our thoughts and are able to focus. By taking part in some deep breathing exercises on a regular basis, it will help to calm both your body and your minds. Deep breathing activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our body's rest and digestive mechanism. I'll be going through more mindfulness and meditation in detail at a later session, but for now we're going to focus on a relaxation exercise called diaphragmic breathing. This is really helpful when you want to feel calm during times of stress or anxiety, or maybe if you feel tension in the body. Diaphragmic breathing, or deep belly breathing as it is also known, is a deep breathing technique that engages our diaphragm. Our diaphragm is a dome-shaped sheet of muscle at the bottom of our rib cage that is responsible for respiratory function. Now, day to day, we tend to use only our chest when breathing, taking in minimal breaths, also known as shallow breathing. This type of breathing often accompanies stress, anxiety, and other physiological difficulties, and can even affect our long-term health. By engaging our diaphragm and practicing some deep breathing, this can lower our blood pressure, reduce our heart rate, relax our muscles, de-stress us, and increase energy levels. Let's give it a go. I want you to get into a comfortable position, whether that's seated or lying down on your back. Once you're comfortable, close your eyes. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other just below your rib cage. Breathe in deeply through your nose and count to 5. Allow your abdomen to rise like a balloon and fill with air. Hold your breath for 2 seconds and then breathe out slowly through your mouth. Try and take 10 slow, deep breaths and open your eyes in your own time. Good. I hope you feel calmer and more relaxed now. Finally, to finish this session, don't be too hard on yourself. Think back to our first session on kindness. When stressed, you may notice those negative thoughts more. Try and replace those negative thoughts with positive ones, and maybe use your mantra when you need to. Be grateful for what you have, love and appreciate yourself and those around you. To finish, I have 3 reflection questions that I would like you to answer. What are you going to stop doing as a result of this assembly? What are you going to change? And what are you going to start doing? Take a couple of minutes to write these down. Good luck. I hope you manage to achieve those goals. As always, I like to finish my sessions with a quote, and today's quote is this: "Stress is not what happens to us, it is our response to what happens. And a response is something we can choose. Can you choose to react differently?" Thanks again for listening to my assembly. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learnt something. Stay well, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Hello and welcome to this presentation on stress and anxiety. My name's Chloe, I work for Higher Horizons Plus, which is part of the UniConnect project.
Hi, I'm Chloe, this is me. I just wanted to put a face to the name. So I'm going to be guiding you through this presentation today on anxiety. I'm a trained mental health first aider and I'm currently training to be a counsellor. Anxiety is something that is really important to me. I'm really interested in it. That's mainly because I have been suffering with anxiety and panic attacks since I was a young teenager, so don't tell anyone, but that was 20 years ago. And I know a lot about anxiety. I know a lot about techniques to overcome anxiety. So everything you're about to see is based on research and also personal experience. I really hope that you enjoy the presentation and I hope that you get something out of it. Whether it's you that's suffering with anxiety or whether you think a friend or a family member is, there'll be something in here to help you understand a bit more about it.
In this presentation, we're going to talk about the difference between stress and anxiety, what anxiety is and why it happens, and what the physical, emotional, cognitive and behavioural effects are. Stress and anxiety are very similar, and it can be confusing to tell the difference. They present the same kind of reactions both physically and mentally. The key differences are that stress is a response to having an external cause. So, for instance, if you have an argument with a friend, or if you're revising for exams. Stress often goes away when the thing that made you feel stressed is no longer there. So, if you and your friend have made up, that stress is gone. If you've revised for your exams and the exam has happened, that stress is gone as well. Anxiety is a response to stress. It's internal. Anxiety doesn't leave you after something is resolved, so you might be lying awake and worrying about the argument you had with your friend even though you've made up. You might be feeling nervous and panicked about the exam that you've just taken even after you've taken it. The response can happen again in similar situations, so you might then feel nervous at every exam you have after that. Or you might even be nervous at something like a job interview because it's similar to an exam. So, anxiety is a persistent feeling of unease or threat. It can be good or it can be unhelpful. We're going to cover that in the next slide. But most importantly, anxiety is normal. Everybody gets anxious. It is only human. We all have anxiety. It can be good. It gets your adrenaline going and it can make you productive and motivate you. For example, if you're anxious about an exam, a bit of anxiety can motivate you to revise. And this is what we call good anxiety. Too much anxiety, though, can do the opposite. It can make you sluggish and lethargic, it can make you not want to do anything, and it can completely overwhelm you. It can even keep you up at night. And this is unhelpful anxiety. This is what we're going to go through now. So let's look at the physical effects of anxiety. You might have heard of fight or flight. Our ancestors would have many dangers to worry about. That could be from rival tribes, the weather, and even big scary animals like this saber-toothed cat. So our bodies developed an alarm system to warn us of potential danger, and it's so effective that even when we're in a relaxed state or even when we're asleep, our bodies can instantly react to danger and get ready to either fight the danger or to run away from it. And this is called fight or flight response. As we evolved, the majority of us in our society don't come across life-threatening situations on a daily basis. I don't know about you, but I've never met a saber-toothed cat. However, the fight or flight response hasn't changed. Our bodies still react the same way to any threat. Our bodies now can't tell the difference between something that's actually threatening and something that we just perceive to be threatening. This means that our bodies react the same way to being chased by a bear or something else that we might be scared of, like a maths exam. What's even weirder is that our bodies can't tell the difference between a threat that's right in front of us and a threat that we imagine. So we don't just activate the fight or flight response when we see a scary animal like this saber-toothed cat, it happens when we think about it. This is also a bit like how phobias work. For example, if you're afraid of flying, you only need to sit in a stationary aeroplane to feel scared or anxious, because you're thinking about the act of the plane flying. So what happens to our physical body when this happens? The first thing to note is that adrenaline is released, triggering lots of reactions around your body. Firstly, your brain is hijacked. The emotional brain takes over from your thinking, logical brain. This means that while you're alert to danger, you won't be able to concentrate on anything that requires thinking or logic. You need to be alert to danger, you need to be able to see it, so your eyes widen to let more light in, which is great for scanning the fields around you for predators, but not so great when you're trying to look down at a maths paper in front of you. It might also make you feel like your vision is blurry. The blood rushes around your body, which makes your heart beat faster and stronger. This is to make sure that the blood can reach your big muscles in your limbs, and that's because you might need your arms and legs for either fighting or fleeing the danger. When the blood reaches your muscles, they tense up, ready for action. The blood rushing to your muscles can make you feel lightheaded and a bit wobbly. The little blood vessels around the body get smaller in order to pump blood to the bigger blood vessels. This can make you feel quite tingly, and it can also leave you with a dry mouth. Because your body is working so hard, it heats up really fast, making you hot and flushed, and your body tries to cool itself down by sweating. In order to run away or fight, you need to make sure that there's enough oxygen in your body, so your breathing becomes fast and shallow. As the body needs all fight or flight symptoms to be on red alert, it shuts down non-essential symptoms. This is mainly your digestive system. That feeling of butterflies in your stomach, or your stomach churning, or maybe you might feel nauseous, is actually all your muscles suddenly relaxing because they're not needed to be used. Because they relax so much, you also might have a sudden urge to go to the toilet. So we can see that there are loads of different reactions that are happening in the body, and this all happens so suddenly you won't even realise it's happening. So this all happens really quickly, and it actually stops happening just as quickly as it started. But what happens if this reaction doesn't stop? That's called a panic attack. Panic attacks are an exaggeration of the physical effects of anxiety. They come on really quickly, and they can last from 5 to 30 minutes. They are really intense, and they can be quite scary, sometimes both for the person experiencing it and for the people witnessing it. Many people who experience them can feel completely out of control of their body. and depending on how strong it is or how long it lasts, it can make you feel quite exhausted afterwards.
So panic attacks are quite common, a lot more common than you think they are, and they're different for different people, and they're also different when you have them as well. So you can have loads of different panic attacks, and I can tell you that no two are going to be the same. The first panic attack I ever had, I think I was about 13. I was sitting in a chemistry class, and I was getting really frustrated because there was something that I couldn't do. And I was actually sitting on one of those high stools, in like a lab class. And I was getting really frustrated. And then all of a sudden I got really, really hot and I felt really flushed. And my heart just started beating really, really fast. And I actually got quite confused. I didn't really know what was going on. And so I decided to try and go out the class. And actually what happened is, because I was feeling really wibbly and all these crazy things were happening inside my body, I actually just fell off the stool. So it was quite scary for me, and it was quite scary for the people around me. The poor teacher nearly had a heart attack, bless him. But it really showed the people who cared, because there were people who were super, super nice about it. And going forward after that, I had quite a few, especially in school. Especially in the same kind of scenarios after that. My chemistry classes were not the same at all. But I spoke to different people, I had a counsellor, and I worked through a lot of different techniques, and in the end I learned to control them really well. So I'm a prime example of, if you ever do have a panic attack, you can get through them, you can get over them, and although they're really scary at the time, you're going to be alright.
Let's take a look at the emotional effects of anxiety now. So one of the main emotions of anxiety is an ongoing feeling of sadness. Some people might feel like crying and they're not really sure why. You can also feel very worried, and worry is a very normal emotion. But with anxiety, many people find that they worry about little things that never would have bothered them before. These ongoing emotions of sadness and worry can lead to feelings of anger and frustration. And many people that find as a result of that they become more irritable. There are many cognitive effects of anxiety. This means that anxiety affects the way you think. Some of these things are called unhelpful thoughts. We all have unhelpful thoughts. These are thoughts that are quite negative, and they don't necessarily stem from anything that's actually factual. So when you're anxious or stressed, your mind is hijacked, and we have a lot of these unhelpful thoughts, and they can build up until we feel really bad about ourselves or about situations. So the first thing to do is, it's really important to recognize different types of negative thoughts, and when you recognize them, it helps to overcome them. So let's look at a little scenario. Let's say you've had a really bad day at school, and you come home and you text your friend, "I only got 6 out of 20 on the algebra test. I'm so stupid." This is called labeling, using I am followed by a negative. In this case, I am stupid. We all do this, and from time to time, that's okay. But it's when we talk about it all the time, the more we label ourselves, the more we actually think it's true. So then you say, if I failed this, I'm going to fail the exam. This is called overgeneralizing. You think if it happens once, it's going to happen again in a very similar situation. However, your friend then points out, but you got 16 out of 20 on the shape and space one. So you fire back, yeah, but that doesn't count. Everyone knows that's easy. This is called disqualifying the positive. So you're downplaying a positive as a fluke, or that it doesn't count. you don't see the whole picture. You don't see that you did really well on one test, you only see the negative one. You only see the one where you got 6 out of 20. So you end with, it's fine, I just can't do maths. This is called black and white thinking. Things are either one extreme or they're the other. The thing is though, that getting that 6 out of 10 doesn't mean you're going to fail your exam. It's only one part of your exam. What it means is that you're really good at shape and space, so when you come to revise, you need to look more about your algebra. So let's look at another scenario now. So let's say that your friend texts you. Hiya, had a great time yesterday, thanks. Not coming today though, sorry. Ordinarily, that would actually be a perfectly fine text to receive. It's nice that she had a great time yesterday. She's sent a smiley face, so she's probably okay. And she's also said sorry for not meeting me today. But if you're anxious or you're stressed, your mind goes to different places, usually a negative one. So you might think, why doesn't she want to spend time with me today? This is called a mental filter, picking out only the negative part of the situation. So you ask her, okay, how come? And she replies with, I'm just feeling a bit down. Normally, you might think, I'm sad that she's feeling down. I wonder what's making her feel down. But when you're anxious or stressed, you might automatically think, what have I done to upset her? This is called personalisation, assuming what happened was your fault. So you try and reach out to her and say, want to meet up and talk about it? And she replies with, no, I'm fine. So obviously she doesn't want to meet up and talk about it, so you immediately think, she's fallen out with me. This is called mind reading. It's jumping to conclusions with no factual evidence. And in fact, if you looked back on the conversation, the first thing she said was, hiya, smiley face, had a great time yesterday, thanks. That probably means that in the space of 3 messages, she hasn't fallen out with you. Ordinarily, all of these thoughts, we all have them once in a while. But when you're stressed or you're anxious, you can have unhelpful thoughts over and over and over again. And the more you have them, the more you start feeling bad about them. If you can recognise what unhelpful thoughts you have, you can actually look at the situation in a different way. There are also behavioural effects to anxiety, and that means the way you act. During a period of anxiety, you might find that you act differently to how you normally would. So what happens to your actions and your behaviour? Well, one of the most common behavioural reactions to anxiety is avoidance. You start avoiding things that you think you might find stressful. Another one is a lack of self-care. This can mean not doing things that you normally would do to make you happy and healthy. That can be anything. It can be something like eating bad things, overeating, undereating. It might be not washing yourself as often as you normally would, and it might be that you don't do activities that previously made you happy. Another one that links in with both of these is apathy. You might find that you can't be bothered to do things that you would normally do. You might not want to go out with your friends, you might not take care of yourself, you might do things like not tidy your room if that's something that you normally do. And this is called apathy. It's a lack of interest, a lack of enthusiasm, or a lack of concern. Sometimes when people feel emotional effects of anger and frustration with anxiety, they might also lash out. This means showing aggressive behaviour towards people or objects. So in this presentation, we've learnt about the difference between stress and anxiety. We've learnt what anxiety is and why it happens. And we've learnt the physical, emotional, cognitive and behavioural effects. Knowing about anxiety, why it happens and exactly what happens is the first step to overcoming it, or to help you recognise if someone else is suffering with it. The next step is to learn about techniques to combat anxiety. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a healthy, happy day.
Thank you all for providing that incredible workshop for this broadcast today, and thank you to Jenna and Chloe for those tips on how to manage stress and for us to understand anxiety. Now, if you've got any questions for Jenna and Chloe today, please continue to leave them in the live chat next to the video player, where they'll get back to you as soon as possible. So that's all from us today. See you on Thursday as we look at resilience and how Jenna has remained resilient in her career. We'll also be seeing Chloe again as she gives us some helpful tips to help us overcome our anxieties. Bye for now, and stay safe.
Go on. No! He gives it away! Oh. Is anyone there? Right, get your leg up. Yeah. Ooh, look. Yeah.
Come on, Tom. Come on.
Oh, go on, Lloyd. Go on, Tommy boy.
Come on, Tom.
Come on, Tom.
Woo!
Go on, Tom. Come on. Oh.